All right, welcome to Late Night Gaming. I'm Poem. I'm with McBobber, Woo, and Loopy. We're going to be talking about some Star Wars Unlimited spoilers that have come out recently, and maybe not so recently. We're a little behind on these videos. We got a bunch to get through today. So let's get started. And our first card to talk about is Inferno 4. Woo, you want to tell us about this one?
Well, first you should read all the things it does.
I could do that. So it's a 2-cost, 2/3 Imperial Vehicle Fighter, and it does let you we gotta go. We got 26 cards, man. It's got some good text on it. It's gonna let you filter the top of your deck. What do you think about this guy?
It's an auto include in all blue bill index. There's not much left to say about it.
Auto include. We love it. It's decently statted and it has a relevant ability and relevant keywords and such. Okay, next card. Got the Jawa Scavenger. Loopy, what are your thoughts on this guy?
It's not even good in draft.
Okay.
I mean, it can trade into Crafty Smuggler.
Look at the bright side. Right?
That's a bright side, yeah. I like Crafty Smuggler a lot.
All right. So it's got Saboteur.
Okay. All right. Not even good in draft. All right, next one. We've got Vanguard Ace. It's a 2-cost, 1/1 cunning heroism vehicle unit, or a space unit rather. It's a New Republic fighter vehicle, and it gets experience based on the number of cards you played that turn. McBobber, thoughts on the Ace?
I got the next trash card. So this is like a heavy combo card that we have no combo pieces for at the moment. So currently unplayable in every format, in my opinion. It's similar to like the Pogo Hopper or whatever or Van Cleef from in Hearthstone for people who are familiar with that game. But essentially, this is the kind of card where you need to have something where like you play it and then you can bounce it and you play it again and you kind of keep doing that to try to combo out like huge stats. But we don't have anything that does that in this game. So
Well,
unless we get those in the future, this is, in my opinion, just an unplayable card.
I think we have two pieces. I think we have Lando and Bright Hope because ultimately, if this card ever plays, it'll be inconstructed. I mean, it's trash anywhere else, and it's if you have a deck that bounces enough, right? But it needs a lot more things that do that. Now, if there's a card that recalls all units to everybody's hand, I mean, then maybe you start thinking about it.
Well, the problem is there.
Uh,
Sorry to cut you off, Wu. I just want to say you need a lot of resources to make that work too. So like Bright Hope's a 4-cost, right? And I think it's only a ground unit also. But you need to bounce like really. You need like a 0-cost unit that you can bounce and keep playing and playing and playing and rebouncing, and then other cheap things
you
that
also need a
bounce it.
full hand.
Yep.
You need like a full hand of cards too.
I think
I don't see, even with a combo, there's nothing going on here. What you end up with like a 2-cost 4/4 after all the hoops you jump through. It's like not even like I don't know what the dream scenario is for this thing.
I agree.
Dual-
It's not good. You would have to have a deck that's built around lots of really low cost cards and bouncing the back. You know, it has some synergy with like an Akbar. It has some synergy with Bright Hope. You need a lot more of that kind of thing before you'd think about it.
Yeah, maybe a leader whose ability is like return a unit to your hand, play another unit for -1 cost.
Right.
You know, we need a lot of things to enable this to be playable.
But I could see like 3 sets in, all of a sudden a deck using this card.
I love how we're talking about just the trash card for the longest. We always do that.
That's how it goes.
All right.
Because we have to dig. We have to dig for like what like things to do.
Yeah, why
Like,
does it exist?
But for now, do not draft this and do not put it in your deck.
Okay. All right. So our next card here is Cassian. Let's see here. Cassian Andor, and he is a he deploys at 6. He's got a 4/6 sat line with Rebel. He's got Saboteur, and he's got a unique ability where when you deal damage to an enemy base, well, in his leader. I'm sorry, his leader form. If you've dealt 3 or more damage to an enemy base, you can draw a card for 1 resource. And when he's deployed, you get to draw a card if you've dealt when you deal damage to a base. And you can only do that once per round. Yeah, I mean, I guess we've seen this guy like theory crafted. I think Woo's been working on a Cassian, so maybe he can speak to this guy. You want to talk about him?
Yeah, so I mean, his draw ability, I think, and draw in general in this game benefits games. It's useful more in games that go long. Draw is really not an aggro thing in this game because aggro decks don't run out of cards quickly enough for it to matter. The longer a game goes on and the more opportunities you have to resource cards, the more card draw becomes relevant because you can continue resourcing and continue dumping your hand. So he seems for me to want to be played in a game that wants to go longer. So more value cards, a lot of trading towards the board. I think I've been working on like a red-green version with him where you're playing like all the good green-red beaters and like ambush cards, and there's now a new removal card that we'll talk about later, and there's just like a lot of trading towards the board. And then once you kind of trade off resources, that's when you start using his ability. You just like to try to refuel. Unfortunately, his stat line is really bad for 6 cost, which is kind of like a trend with a lot of these leaders that aren't Boba Fett, that they just like are kind of gimpy. That's like really the negative part, because the biggest thing about leaders is like the turn they come into play is supposed to be such a swing turn because you're essentially getting a 0 cost chunky unit, but he's just like not chunky enough usually. So I think that's like where the weakness is. But I think his ability you can work it. I think the deck is missing a little, but I don't hate this guy.
All right, he might
I wrote,
get there at some point, kind of thing.
yeah, and I'm rooting for Andor because I love the character, and if anybody can make a deck work, it's Wu. So hopefully that'll be a thing. I imagine that green red deck plays really well into Luke, and Cassian himself as Saboteur. So maybe.
Alrighty.
I'd like to see some
Oh, the
effects.
Saboteur thing. Oh, sorry, go
I'd
ahead.
like to see some effects that reward you for having a big hand, and I feel like that's what Cassian's looking for, and we don't have that yet. But only blue villain I think right now has any effect that cares about your like having a lot of cards. But we just need some of those things for Red Hero, and I think Cassian will be a lot better.
Okay.
That Saboteur makes Iden really sad. He one-shots her. They come out together. It's kind of...
Yeah, he's a good item counter.
Okay. So let's keep firing through these.
That's true.
Got our next card here is the Rogue Squadron Skirmisher. It's a 6 cost 4/6 Rebel Vehicle Speeder. It's a ground vehicle here. It ambushes, and when you play it, you can get a 2 cost from your discard pile. I use this thing all the time. I like ambush. I think it's good in the aggro meta. To like, or just get in there and kill something. It's also good into like bounce, because you're hitting something. If they want to bounce it, you get to hit them again, kind of thing. He's good late game because you get the recursion of just card advantage. So I like the skirmisher. I got no problems with this guy. Anybody out there have any thoughts on this dude?
Possible synergy with Vanguard Ace.
Come on, man.
That's it.
I wish it drew something relevant, which it really doesn't, but
And pull Leia, can it?
it gives you like a resource. And like there is the down, like green has no shortage of ambush cards, especially things that deal like 4 damage. It's just like pretty common with like Callus and Bosk. Well, Bosk is a filling card. You got like Snowspeeder that does 3 and costs 1 less. They have so much of this going on that just reach a critical mass of how many of them you actually want. I think
I'm sure we'll see another ambush card.
Its best pulls are probably Leia and A-Wing, which aren't in its colors. Trying to think of a really good green 2-drop.
I mean, even then, Battlefield Marine's good. It's just like by the time this comes out, your goal is usually not to play more 2-drops. So I think the buyback effect on it is actually kind of...
I mean,
Well,
I don't think you're.
there is another 2-drop that we'll be looking at that has a decent one-play ability that can maybe be relevant late game.
I just don't know if you're actually
Yeah.
playing the 2-drop that you get with him. You're just like getting card advantage so you can resource it.
Resourcing it, playing bigger
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, it looking or thinking more about it, it's probably green, yellow is where it could work best with some of the on-played abilities for 2-drops that are still relevant late game. It would be a lot better if it said
Okay.
3.
All right, let's take a look at our next card, Zeb. He is a 5-cost ground unit with aggression, heroism, rebel specter, 5/5 stat line. And when he completes an attack, you can deal 4 damage to a ground unit. Any thoughts out there, McBobber? You like this guy?
So just to clarify, he has to defeat the unit when he completes an attack to get that 4 damage.
Gotta beat him.
So it's
Defeat and survive.
yeah. So it's a little
Okay.
tricky there to set up. He's really good if you have the ECL as your base, the one that gives you ambush, because this guy is good with ambush, right? You can only play him when you're going to kill a guy, and then you get the 4 damage extra, and that's pretty good. So he fits in a Hera deck because Hera's usually going to be mono green, and he's a Spectre, so that's what he's good at.
Yeah, I think it's easy to overrate this guy because you got to remember how slow he is. So if you don't have ECL, it's a problem. The 2 places I think he plays are with Hera, with ECL, and in red-blue, because red-blue is probably going to have the lightsabers and upgrades to try to make him more survivable. If you can make his attack go off, and then Luke, right? Red-blue Luke, Zeb is okay because Luke can give him a shield, and then he might do some work with taking 2 guys out at once.
Alrighty.
And I play it in the red-green Cassian deck with ECL. I don't think this guy's playable if you're not running Energy Conversion Lab personally, but I think he's very strong with it. It's like that you're playing it entirely for the ambush. It comes in and kills 2 things. It's like I know everything is good with ambush, but this guy's like really good with ambush. It's like a different kind of good.
Yeah.
I don't think you're allowed to play him as a 5/5 for 5. Like I just don't like that. That has been proven over and over again to just not be good enough in this game to just like play a chunky guy for 5 and hope it like does something the next turn.
Yep.
But energy convert like this he is absolutely obscene when he ambushes. So
and there was a European player that had a Hera deck that was running You're Our Only Hope, which is a cheats out, but it cheated out Zeb on turn 3. I mean, that's pretty good. That was very difficult to deal with.
that deck is already running Energy Conversion Lab, right? So it's
so he's got 2 ways he can use it, and he's having to change kind of the typical Hera package to do it. But it was an interesting idea. I mean, he had several 5-drops trying to cheat out things with My Only Hope, which is the first useful way I've seen that card used.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in the Cassian deck I play, I basically just Energy Conversion Lab is for this guy. Like, I'm okay giving up a little tempo early and not using the ambush because this is going to catch you right back up. It's going to enable 3 for 1 and it's quite easily.
Really good into Bosk and Callus.
All right. It sounds like we got a lot to talk about with this dude. We're big fans of him. Seems like he's got a high upside. And our next card is Darth Vader. It's a 7-cost command villainy, 5/7 Force Imperial Sith ambush, and lets you search the top 10 of your deck for a villainy unit. Not any unit, just has to be villainy there. Can't get any just generic
Crafty
green dudes. And he's able to play any number of these 3. He's able to spend basically 3 resources on any number of dudes. So you can get 3 one drops or 2 and a 1 or 3. And I mean Darth Vader, man. This guy is a beast. Like he gets in there, he cleans stuff up. I like playing him, doing the thing, maybe playing a command on the next turn and just going and finding him in my discard pile so I can play him again. I just keep playing him. He's great. Gets in, kills stuff, help develop your board. I think he's a really strong card. He's a it kind of helps some of the it's like a top end maybe in like a Boba green deck or something. He can be like help enable some mono green Tarkin or something like that. So yeah, this guy's super good. Any other thoughts out there on Darth Vader?
It's hard to imagine playing green villain and not wanting to play Darth Vader. Like he's very versatile. He just does a lot. It's a great card.
Yeah.
My guess is the most expensive single on release day.
It's like you sit there, you like normally just play like maybe on your top end is like your 2-drop just because you see it or your 2 of in your deck because you don't like see it as often or something, but you're putting 3 of this guy in there. You're gonna have to cut some least expensive, less expensive card, make that a 2 of. Like this guy's going in 3 of for sure.
He's my favorite of the 7 cost chunkers, personally. I like that his floor is higher than all of them because he separates his value into 2 pieces of cardboard. All the other ones, like, they all come in and kill something, basically, right? They're like ambushing, or Dooku slices something, or Luke does his thing. They're all big guys who come in and kill something. But then if they get killed in response, like, the value ends. But this guy like brings a toy with him, so he just the floor feels higher with him. That it just
I think that
more
I
value.
think that's a great take.
Really.
I mean, you said that about an hour ago, and I thought about it, and I think you're dead on the nuts.
Cool. Well, let's see. I want to hear Woo's thoughts on Moment of Peace, the 1 cost blue event. Give a shield token to a unit.
I like this card. It's so cheap. I like cheap cards. It enables some tricky things. It goes on leaders, which is really important. It's like only the second way I think you can put a shield on a leader right now, outside of the double blue vigilance card. And I guess Luke's lightsaber can do it exactly to Luke. But it's just versatile. It's just you can squeeze it into a lot of turns. I think it works really nice with Grand Inquisitor. He gets to like do his shenanigans and then shield afterwards to just like it's like good with specifically with like Fifth Brother getting damage on him and then shield, or with the Grit guy that gets damage on him and then shield. I think it kind of holds its weight for me. I like it.
I'll confess I underrated this card at the first thing. I did start playing it first in Luke, but in at least Luke and Inquisitor, I think it's a 3 of. It's not as good as a card we're about to see for those decks, but it's close.
Yeah, shields are good. I like it.
So I have a hard time with cheap events and things like that like don't break the game because of card advantage. So I mean I don't know. I have to be sold a little bit on this guy, but we'll see. Kick my butt with it.
Yeah, put it in your Luke deck. Put it in your Luke red deck, and you'll find out.
All right, well, let's find out about this next card. It's the Echo Base Defender. It's a 3-cost command heroism ground unit with Rebel and Trooper, 4/3 and a Sentinel. Loopy, what do you think about the Defender?
I think he's very good. I mean, it's probably a 3 of include in basically every hero green.
Okay, yeah, he does it.
Green has the most boring
He does
good
the
cards.
that you want.
Yeah.
Just like numbers on cards high. That's
Right.
Green's thing.
Yeah.
The Sentinel's very important.
All right, it's got some nice whatever keywords or whatever we're calling those. So those will be helpful there. The Rebel and the Trooper traits or whatever. What are they called, McBobber?
Yeah, traits.
It's got nice traits. So let's check out the.
Look at the traits on that guy.
Check out the Seventh Sister, Implacable Inquisitor. So 5 cost.
Speaking of nice traits.
Yeah, there you go. Aggression, Villainy, 3/6, Force Imperial Inquisitor, Saboteur, and when this unit deals combat damage to an opponent's base, you may deal 3 damage to a ground unit that opponent controls. Thoughts on Seventh Sister, Woo?
Play it in your Grand Inquisitor decks. Probably don't play it much elsewhere. Okay. Very strong in Grand Inquisitor. but it's something we can go back to what I said about Zeb. Like these 5 costs that don't do anything when they come into play aren't great. Well, Grand Inquisitor makes her do something the turn she
I
comes
know
into
some.
play.
I know, like for
Which
example, my pal Thorkey plays the Vader deck, and he just doesn't even put her in there. I was surprised by that. I thought it was like, oh, Vader got another toy, but he doesn't like her.
I,
It's interesting.
I, but she's really good with Grand Inquisitor, and I think Wu's right. You just limit her to that deck. But I mean, Grand Inquisitor can potentially uh, throw her 3 times late game, right? If you have 8 resources out, you can, use his ability on her to ready once, and then the ready card, ready 3 or less. I mean, it's just lots of damage going out to their units if it's living the dream like that.
Cool.
And she's a force unit, which is very relevant for what we're about to see.
Well, let's see it then. It's Force Throw. It's a 1-cost aggression event. When you can choose a player, that player discards a card from their hand. Then if you control a force unit, you may deal damage to a unit equal to the cost of the discarded card. McBobber, tell us about Force Throw.
I love Force Throw. It's as long as you got Force units, this card's awesome. It's versatile. You can discard the opponent's card if you only need to kill something small. And if you only want to do 2 damage, you're usually probably going to get that. So they lose a card, they lose a guy, that's great. And if it's something big you need to kill, like a leader, you can pick yourself and throw a big old starship at him and one shot a leader for 1 cost. Like it's just really good. It's a great card.
Yeah, are we saying this is like it's definitely I feel like it's an A tier card. Are we saying this thing is like maybe even like potentially S tier for like the ability to
It,
just like snipe leaders and
it,
like just the power level that this potentially possesses?
in the decks that it's made for, right? I mean, you need to be running lots of force units, but I play Blue Red Luke. It is the best card in Blue Red Luke, and that includes Luke unit probably by a smidge. It's probably tied with Fifth Brother and Inquisitor as well because of other first units. It's just a really good one. And I mean, if you have multiples in your hand and they don't, I had a game where I had Yoda out, which is not normally very threatening, but I had 3 force throws, and I just drained everything out of the hand and killed his whole board because he didn't kill Yoda. I mean, it felt real good.
I think a requirement for this card is your leader being a force unit. I think it's if you're not playing a force leader, it becomes a little too difficult to always keep this enabled. That's how currently I see it. Um, like maybe you could say that like what would it be
Yeah.
like Blue Hero probably does have. I mean, it has
Yep.
Yoda, Kanan, and Obi-Wan and Big Luke. So like maybe even if you're not playing Luke, but I don't
Uh,
know. I really want my leader to be forced to run this, and then I love it. It's
yeah.
awesome. It's like
Yeah,
everything
I
these
would
guys
say
say.
that having played lots of the Blue Red Luke deck, I mean, there's probably enough force units without Luke. I just don't know why you'd be playing a different leader than him. So I think it's not really relevant right now with our choices.
I guess you have to be in
Yeah.
Blue Red, right? Because you need to get the force units
So
and force throw. So you're either in like Sabine or Cassian
right.
or Chewie.
But I mean, if they had
Um,
something that was like a relevant like blue aggro hero that wasn't force, I mean, you could think about it because at blue red hero you have a lot of low cost force units.
All right. Interesting.
it's a little more awkward in villain to use right now because they only have Fifth Brother and then Seventh Sister and Palpatine, and like 2 of those are more expensive. One of them is really only meant for Grand Inquisitor, so I think the Grand Inquisitor deck really wants this, and Vader probably does, even though it's not always active with
Yeah, once we
Vader.
get more force units, this card just keeps on getting better. I love it. This thing's crazy.
Hmm.
I don't think I love this one though. It's the Pirated Starfighter. It's a 2-cost. Uh, what is this? Cunning 2/4 underworld vehicle fighter with raid 1. So everything's sounding great so far. But it's got a when played, return a friendly non-leader unit to its owner's hand. Which, if you have no other units on board, you have to return this back to your hand. So there's your bounce deck, Woo. Um, um,
No, that's my insane idea.
yeah, let's just
Yeah,
keep.
possible Vanguard
Yeah,
Ace
yeah,
synergy,
yeah.
number 3.
Let's do this with the Vanguard Ace to give it a bunch of experience.
You just need like 10 resources and a couple pirated
You just
starfighters.
keep bouncing
Well,
itself back to your hand and then play Vanguard
it'll be a
Ace.
one-turn kill deck. I mean, I
Uh,
imagine there'll be a if
yeah,
I'll make a meme
yeah.
deck
One
at some
turn,
point
one
to do
turn
it.
you die because you're playing crappy cards. I don't know.
It's Miracle
I don't
Road.
know what to say
Miracle
about
Road.
this thing. Like maybe I know what McBobber's gonna say. He's gonna say eventually we'll get some card that when it returns to your hand, it does something good. And then this.
I think we already have those cards.
Okay.
We got Akbar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got to take when you're drafting, know how this card works because I imagine that you'll have plenty of people play it turn 2 and not understand that it actually bounces itself because it does.
I
Right?
had
If
someone do exactly that.
Yep, I had someone do that yesterday too. So there's one for you. Know your rules so that you can, sound smart when
Yeah.
you're drafting
You just
on
you
release.
just hold on to that little nugget, and then you just rules police them at Worlds 2025, and just get an auto win. Just,
I think it.
Oh yeah, because this is going to be making all the world's decks.
And please don't call the judge at your local draft event when people are learning the game.
yeah.
Let them take it back, but that is how that works.
All right. Well, let's see.
Game's too board oriented to be picking up your own cards. It's like so situational.
Let's see if this
It's
guy's
just-
situational. He's the Vanguard Infantry, 1 cost, command 1/2 trooper. When defeated, give an experience token to unit. Woo, do you have a thought on the infantry?
I mean, I don't really like this thing. It's just, I know it's like kind of a 2/3 for 1, but it's like really only kind of a 2/3 for 1. And maybe Chewy, just 1 cost Sentinel that does a little thing when it dies.
Kind of like this guy.
But
Yeah. He's kind of a 2/3 for 1 cost in a way, but you got to have something to go with it, right? Kind of like we was saying, you could play him with Chewy, or you could use the next card we're going to look at to get some more value out of him. But by himself, he's not doing a whole lot probably. It's just hard to set it up to where it does what you want.
Okay. He does have Trooper. Keep that in mind. We've got this thing, Heroic Sacrifice. It's a 1 cost aggression heroism event. Draw a card, then attack with the unit. For this attack, it gets +2/+0 and gains when this unit deals combat damage. Defeat it. So my understanding with this thing is if you have K2SO on the board and you attack their base, you can do 9 damage to their base.
Accurate.
That's
So
probably why K2's on the card.
Yeah, I had that interaction occur to me yesterday with 16 health on my base, and then I was dead. And I was like, holy crap, this card is pretty good with K2SO. So if you ever want to do 9 damage to the base, there you go. You just need 2 cards, and you're looking good.
Well, and not only that, you can K2 and it overwhelms, right? So you can actually wipe out a guy, do all the overwhelm damage, and then do the extra 3 too.
Yeah.
K2 is sneaky good in some circumstances.
Yeah, like
it's not that sneaky.
K2 with entrenched earlier today gave me a wall from Loopy there.
Yeah, with entrenched and a lightsaber.
Yeah, that was great. Just kill all my guys and deal damage to the base while you're at it.
And keep putting on shields with Luke.
Yeah,
it's good.
It was disgusting. Anyhow, back to Heroic Sacrifice. Any other thoughts out there other than combo piece, playable, good?
How did it work in your Cassian deck?
I like it. I mean, I don't think this is necessarily an aggro card specifically. I think it enabling trade ups is like really strong. Like your little guys can like punch up, and then like you get your card back, right? So
and you draw a card. That's even more busted. Okay.
yeah, like and Note too that even if you don't have a unit, you can just cycle this. I don't know how important
Do you
that
think
is,
Sabine
but,
plays it?
Look, maybe I mostly see the list now have it in there, but like I mean, precision fire that was like +2/+0 and attack with a trooper. Even though when the deck had a decent amount of troopers, never seemed to really be good enough. And like I don't know, there's something about like throwing your units at people's bases and having them die that doesn't really sit like that's not unless it's like finishing people off. I don't know if that's what you want to be doing with your units in aggro. But
It's a finisher. It's a finisher.
maybe
Yeah.
like it yeah, it's a finisher, but like they already got their surprise strikes, they got their K2s, um, they have their for a cause I believe in. So like how much clutter do you want with cards that like are so situational? Like you're not playing this on turn 2 and like losing your A wing to deal 5 damage, right? So yeah, it's like yeah, like you said, it's a finisher. There's just like already 6 better ones in your deck. So
I think it's really good in like a mid-range deck and right on the border for aggro.
you probably put it in there, and like the K2 interaction is very strong. So maybe even just for that.
And it has hero,
and it's a
so
hero
you can,
card. Sorry,
it's kind of like a surprise
yeah,
strike
so,
that does have the hero tag on it, so you're not making it that weaker.
Like, who cares if your guys are sticking
the
around
four
if you're
cards.
just like in the final round of the match and just winning? Like, I don't know.
And it
Yeah, exactly. But that's situational. Like you can't have your deck full of that. Like it's the same with surprise strike, right? Like it doesn't do anything except push damage, and this one actually you lose your unit, right? So it's a one shot.
Even aggro has to trade sometimes, right? If there's a sentinel out, maybe the heroic sacrifice enables that.
Right.
It's a strong card. It holds weight. It's just don't just chuck your units away.
These last couple ones here. We've got AT-AT suppressor. Do we even need a?
Oh, are we on the 12 card dump now?
These are mostly draft cards we have concluded. They were revealed in the draft stream, and McBobber's shaking his head no. Anyhow, so this guy, he's a little funky. I mean, he's an 8 cost. He's a ground unit. He's got 8/8. Everything's sounding good there, but I mean, what is he gonna do? He's just gonna come in and he's gonna exhaust all the ground units. So your guys too. I mean, I don't know. What is he gonna?
And himself.
Well, he's already exhausted.
It's a funky one. Maybe there's some fairy tale deck out there that's just based around just exhausting everything and like some Thrawn thing or something, and then you like do a board wipe or whatever. But I don't know. Isn't this guy just like just funky? Too funky?
There's at least one leader that can ready units. I don't know.
Not
right.
No,
he can't ready that. But I don't think this is good. I mean, Krennic might consider it.
I have as a one of in my Krennic deck. You never know. You know, if you're behind on ground, you just throw this on the table and you buy some time, and then you also have a big guy for the next round.
All right, McBobber thinks maybe mess around, maybe put one of them in your Krennic deck. That's where we're at with this guy. Okay, let's.
if it's mono blue.
Yeah. All right, we've got
it buffs Childson.
We've got a card I actually like here. The Cargo Juggernaut. It's a 6 cost, Vigilance 4/6, vehicle tank, shielded, and it heals 4 from your base if you have another blue card. I don't know. I think against the aggro decks, like healing the 4 is like very relevant, and then I mean it's obviously slow because it doesn't come in and kill something, but it does come in and heal a lot. So I mean I don't know. I haven't really tested it enough, but in theory I like it. I know Wu doesn't like it. He's over there shaking his head.
Yeah, you can't be spending 6 energy to heal 4 against aggro. It's not going to do anything. Also, why is it situational? Why couldn't it just heal 4? Why do you have to have another blue unit? I think this is cool with Wedge. It like curves really nicely with Wedge. You got a 5/7 ambush with shield. But no, I
you
don't
need to
think
get
this is
on the
very good.
DD and start building that. You got to protect Wedge somehow. You have to have another blue guy on the field other than Wedge that survives. So.
To get
Wedge
the heal,
himself is a
yes.
card that's going to get better as you get more kind of ability to do all vehicles. But I don't like Cargo Juggernaut. It feels like it would be win more for something that has already stabilized, and then you're healing, but you're probably what are you, Krennic or Iden or something like that? You probably, if you're doing this, have won already.
I don't know, man. I think you guys are underestimating the ability to like create a deck that heals a bunch and to be able to stabilize that way. Like, just make them have to do 50 damage to your base to win. Like, I don't know. I think that deck can get there eventually. So I think this guy's gonna see play. I wouldn't sleep on him. He's shielded, comes in, it's hard to kill. It's a nice stabilization top end. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one, Devotion. 2-cost upgrade, Vigilance, and it gives you Restore 2 and a 1/1 stat boost. And a Deep Breath that we all heard. McBobber, what do you think about Devotion?
I don't think it's doing enough.
You need like
that's pretty much it. Yeah, it just doesn't do enough for me. I want more stats.
It's a possible sideboard anti-aggro card.
Like Yoda already has Restore 2 and he costs 3.
I don't think so. Yeah. I just don't think it's even an anti-aggro card. Like the stat boost on it is so weak. Like anti-aggro cards are units that kill their units, not wasting a whole turn like playing this, right? It's gonna end up costing you more life in the long term if like you're not able to contain their board. And blue is glutted for better upgrades anyway, especially in hero.
All right, so draft filler. Again, it's not like one restore that you get or one, it's when your whole deck is healing. Like at some point, it's aggro can't get there because you're just healing that base. I mean, I don't know.
I do think that Restore generally is better in limited formats like Draft. That then the deck isn't as optimized and it probably does more.
Yeah, I just think maybe this is just not quite good enough for Constructed, but
I actually think it's worse in Draft. I think like stats are the only thing that matter in Draft. Like every deck is mid range in Draft. Just like some variation of like beaters. I think like all you want to do is make 2-for-1s in Draft. Like the person who creates more 2-for-1s. This is a good way of getting yourself 2-for-1s.
Let's see if Make an Opening helps us with that too. It's a 3-cost Vigilance event, and it gives a unit -2/-2 for the phase. Maybe you kill the unit right when you play this or something. If they ambushed you with a Zeb and thought they were being clever, and they left their Zeb weakened, you just get in there and clean them up, and then you get 2 damage healed.
Yeah, then your mono restore deck.
That's. I don't know. This thing seems fine. McBobber likes it, right?
Yeah. Of these heal cards we've been looking at, this is, in my opinion, far and away the best one. I actually do like this card. I like because you can kill something, and then you get a little bit of health on top. That's kind of just a bonus, but I like a 3-cost to kill a unit. So
yeah. I like that it's not kill a unit. It's not do damage. It's like maybe they tried to protect it with a shield or something, and it just like kills them straight away. Go ahead, Loopy.
The art on it is base, so maybe he's coming. I don't think the card is very good.
Yeah, I actually am. We're gonna have a disagreement on this one. I think this card is really bad. It's half an open fire.
Yeah, but open fire doesn't get through a shield or something that they tanked. They're playing some Inquisitor thing, and they did the grit.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you can create weird scenarios where there's really low health units with shields on them, but
in one of the better decks right now, which is take a bunch of damage, with your grit guy, your little 1/4 dude, and then put the shield on, whatever. and then you sit there and you just like can't get through there, can't kill him because he's shielded, and you just come in and make an opening and kill the guy. Like it's a thing. It's not some niche scenario.
I cut this from my draft deck yesterday for the card we just talked about, Devotion. I put Devotion in over this in my draft deck because I played like 4 games and I never found a time
Three of
to
these
use
throughout
it.
the game.
So I
Let's
just
say
was like,
perfect scenario. It's like there's a lot of these dudes, these those little trooper guys that come in and do 2 damage to themselves and 2 to you or whatever, and they think they're just being clever, and it's like,
but they are being clever because you've lost that exchange because you've spent the same amount of energy and they've actually
I don't
affected the
know.
board.
It's true.
It's just for 3 cost. It's not. It's almost never creating 3 energy worth of
Takedown
value.
is 4.
Well, it could, it could just be Johnny on the spot, in a certain scenario. Like it could just be the perfect card for the scenario, though. Like nothing else would work than this. I feel like that would happen. That happens more often than you think, where you just need to clean up these dudes that ambushed you. Like if you're playing against me, that's all I do. That's my strategy.
But you still win that
I ambush
exchange,
guys and I
right?
leave
So,
them. I play a snow speeder and I I leave them with 2 health left. I do this all day.
but then it's still you still won that exchange with your snow speeder because you killed one of my cards already, and then I used this and then used 2
In
for
the
1
past. At the present time, the snow speeder came in and it needs to be dealt with efficiently without having to trade one of your units into it. And you just play this and you get a little heal and it's perfect. It did the thing that you wanted it to do. I don't know.
Maybe what the base card said is, any damage heal from your base, do that damage to something else. I mean, if it had an interaction like that. Otherwise, I think it was right. This is not a good
I
card.
think the heal from the base is relevant. Like these games can get decided by small margins as well. So I don't know. I'm with McBobber on this card. I don't think it's like the best thing ever, but I would,
all right.
if I was playing a mono blue deck, it'd go in there.
I think it's best case scenario makes a sideboard, and I think that's best.
If Grand
case
Inquisitor ends
for
up being
me.
really good, this is a great counter to him. Heals a little from your base, probably finishes off their guy.
Sideboard, right? But
I think
that's
it's good
like
against
best
aggro in
case
general.
sideboard. Right?
Aggro has a lot of little weenies often. You just want to kill a guy with 2 health. Get a little heal. Yeah.
What units do they have?
Well, it depends what color you're in. There's the rebel yellow guy who's like a 3/2. The rocket bazooka dude or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Good against
Bazooka
Crafty
Man.
Smuggler. Second card that's
There
good
you
against
go.
Crafty Smuggler.
Yeah, it's good against
I love
Crafty
Crafty
Smuggler. McBobber's favorite
Just like the
card,
Jawa.
so
It's one of my favorite draft cards, Crafty Smuggler. So
All
Let's
right,
let's
go to the next, right?
actual good card.
We got to go a little faster too. Let's get back to that pace that we were on at the beginning. Mon Mothma is a 2-cost 1/3. She's a rebel official. When played, you can search for a rebel card from your top 5. Loopy, what do you think of Mon Mothma?
Great card. Gas for green. I think that green very much needed this.
Yeah, I saw you choose this over that 3/3 guy for 2 earlier today. I thought you were crazy to do that. He was on his final cut and he chose Mon Mothma in his build over that guy.
why not both?
He ran out of slots. He already had enough 2-drops because he was playing droids.
Mm.
It was kind of a jank, but I just thought it was kind of.
That deck is not good, but
This is just better than
I just
C3PO.
play this instead of the droids. That's
this.
what I do. Just cut those guys and play her.
She makes the Tarkin version of her real sad.
Yeah.
So much better.
All right, we like
Tarkin has a similar thing for Imperial cards, but I think that Mon Mothma is so much.
She's just barely understated.
We like Mon
She's
Mothma
barely
a lot.
understated.
All right. Do we like Steadfast Battalion, Overwhelm 5/5 Trooper on attack? Give a friendly unit +2/+2. We don't like this guy, right?
If you control your leader.
Yeah. So we don't like this guy. Are we good on Battalion? He's trash.
Uh,
All right, trash.
He's trash.
I mean, he's draft.
I
I think he's a plus draft card because
He's a troop.
I don't know.
He's maybe
Draft.
Go ahead.
The other guy I played it in draft had like 3 of these, it was a problem
Stats.
because of just the stats, and then the leader's out. If there's a sentinel there, that becomes an issue.
All right, he's got the trooper. That could be a thing for your trooper deck. What about Mercenary Company? 6 cost, 5/5. It's a command, ambush, overwhelm. McBobber?
I think it's not a great card, but it might be playable in the right scenario. Ambush Overwhelm can be kind of cool. If you pick off a little guy, you get some damage on the base. Hopefully you get a 2-for-1 out of this. It's just a little expensive. 6 is a lot, so it's a tough sell.
I think it's the same exact take as Spedfast Pavilion. I think it's a plus draft card.
Well, this one I actually think is a plus draft card. I don't think the other one was a plus draft card.
Yeah, this is I think it's a very solid draft card. The other one it's playable, but this is better. If I get the choice between the two, I'd always take this one.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
All right. We've got a real card now. We got Traitorous. It's a 5 cost upgrade command. And when this upgrade becomes attached to a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less, take control of that unit. And when this upgrade becomes unattached from a unit, that unit's owner takes control of it. Woo, tell us about Traitorous.
I think this card's very strong. I'm surprised that it's gotten very mixed reviews in the initial discussion over at the Discord. I think it does a very similar thing that Callus does, because Callus will come in usually and kill a 3 or 2 cost unit, stick around as like a 4/1, a 4/2, draw you a card sometimes. Well, this kind of does that too, right? It kills a 3 cost unit and then puts it on your side, so you get your unit back. Like, very clean 2-for-1. This, even if you take readied units, they're actually already ready to go. It's more situational than like the ambush bros like Bosk and Callus, because there's not always a target for it. But the upside is quite high, especially if like people are upgrading their 3, like the Yodas and the Fifth Brothers. People put lightsabers on them, or like things with entrenched, or A-wings with experience on them. I just think it's a great tool to have. Like, it doesn't mean it has to be a 3 of in every green deck, but like, more options like this are very valuable. Green tends to often skip its 4 resource turn, right? It goes resupply or super laser tech into trader is quite strong. I like it. Be careful playing against like mono yellow with this, because they have like 14 ways to bounce the unit back to their own hand and drop it. But and red should probably be playing Disabling Fang Fighters in its sideboard in case
if I'm playing a deck that has upgrades, like a red that has red in it, I'm active, like your red blue, let's say. I'm playing the Disabling Fang Fighter in my main deck. I mean, I don't know. Like, just put it in the main deck. Like, you're gonna almost, like, I feel like this is such a meta relevant card to deal with upgraded low cost units that Disabling Fang Fighter is just such a blowout. I would just main deck that. I don't know. If I was trying to do an upgrade strategy, that's what I would do. Like, this thing just, like, you play against someone that hasn't really like experienced the wrath of this card, and they're just casually just dropping their Jedi lightsaber on their Yoda and trying to have a good time. It's not going to end well for them. So, anyhow, good card.
Yeah, I was playing against a green that took a unit against Inquisitor Mono Red. I mean, the aggression and response felt like a blowout. I did put Disabling Fang Fighter in the sideboard because of this card, and then lightsabers, really.
All right, let's go to the next one. Strike True. It's a 3 cost. A friendly unit deals damage equal to its power to an enemy unit. McBauer, thoughts on Strike True?
I think it's a pretty good card. As long as you stick a guy on the board, that seems to kind of be the theme of green and how they remove things. So the bigger guy you have, the bigger thing you can remove. So yeah, if you got a leader with some decent power, I think they can pull this off pretty easily and generally pretty playable.
I think it's a card green needed. I mean, their removal is not as good as any other color.
I've got Overwhelming Barrage, but yeah, this guy's good in like my go tall Tarkin deck, where you play like the ship that gives you the experience tokens and the upgrade, that we spoiled that I forgot the name of, the academy training, things like that, and then you can just kill a big thing with it if they don't deal with that big guy. So I like this card. I don't think I like the
It's pretty good.
Jetta Agitator though. 2 cost aggression, 2/1 Rebel Saboteur on attack. If you control a leader, deal 2 damage to a ground unit or base. Loopy, what do you think of the Agitator? Draft filler, ready to move on to the next card?
It is draft filler. It's relevant draft filler in Sabine. You know, I had a Sabine draft deck that this was okay in. I don't think it ever turned on, but they had to kill it.
Wait, was it okay? I actually lost in this card in draft because I didn't have any ground units. I was playing like a big space deck, and they like this did 12 damage to me. But you know, like I still don't think it's playable even in draft. Even after that, it's like
this is a 2/1
for 2.
Power failure, 2 cost, defeat any number of upgrades on a unit. I think this is a coaster too, right? We're not really, nobody's putting this in their aggression deck and constructed.
I mean, unless we get some sort of meta where there's a huge like Voltron deck, yeah, I don't see this getting used.
Yeah,
you're playing the Fang Fighter over this if you need upgrade hate and like.
Yeah, my Voltron just got worse. Like if I ever had any ideas of going Voltron, now aggression can deal with it. Not only cunning, their waylays and cantina bouncers and such. Now aggression can deal with it as well. It's a sad day for Voltron. Is it a sad day for the Bounty Hunter crew? This our last card. It's a 6 cost unit ground cunning villainy unit with 4/4 Underworld Bounty Hunter ambush, and you can get a event from your discard pile. McBauer?
I think it's too expensive for what it's doing. Getting an event can be pretty cool. It's not bad in draft, but for constructed, I just think it's probably too expensive. It had to be something really specific you're trying to keep replaying.
Shouldn't this be like a 5 cost card? I don't know. Be good at 5.
Yeah, if it said Boba Fett, it would probably be 4. But maybe if there was like something that reduced the cost of bounty hunters, I don't know. Otherwise, it's trash.
I don't know if it's trash. I mean, I still think this thing's playable, right, Blue? Like, wouldn't you?
I tried. I don't think so. The 4/4, it's too small for 6. It's just too small. I was thinking about like in mono yellow, like trying to like buy back cunnings with this, but like that body it's just too it's too
like
poor.
Smaller than Cantina Bouncer, which has a better effect and is 5/5. Right.
I don't think it's a bad draft card though. Again, it's just like draft is about like board trades and value, and this can come in, kill something, draw a card, potentially leave a body in play. It's like as many of these exchanges as you can create in draft, the better.
And also, it's a pretty fine draft card.
Yep. And also your events are more valuable in draft because there's typically just you have a couple of removal cards in your whole deck. So if you're pulling that back, it's relevant.
All right.
Yeah, I just played a draft the other day where I was red yellow villain, and this kept getting me every time I played I'd get my open fire back, and open fire is pretty good in draft, so it was nice to get that again.
I think good drafters prioritize removal.
All right, y'all, I think we got to wrap things up here. I appreciate you doing this video with me here, and we'll go ahead and end it there. And if you made it this far, you are my hero.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Good night.